Let's talk about the religion myth. By myth, of course, I'm referring to the standard definition. This is a story that uses exaggeration and symbols to explain what can't be explained at that point in time. At this point in time, how and by what life was created can't be explained. That's where your myth comes in. The myths of ancient Greece and Rome explain how the sun, moon, and stars and other things they couldn't explain came to be. The basic Christian myth. I'm going to focus mostly on Christianity because in my personal experience, Christians have a way of poking their ass into things more than any other religion. Feel free to be insulted by that statement. So what's the basic structure of the myth? God, the invisible man in the sky who watches all and knows all, created the world and everything in the universe in 7 days. This is a nice myth that has many similarities to the myths of old. It should. It was based on them. Basically, the reason these myths were created worldwide is to, as I said earlier, explain what can't be explained. They're all similar because they're all part of the same collective consciousness. There is, as far as we can tell, most probably some energy force or some presence. It has an assisting and or binding effect on life starting, continuing, and evolving. But humanity is obviously too weak-minded to even begin to understand it. So we use God, the invisible bearded man who lives in the sky and watches all that we do, as a symbol to represent that energy force that we can't explain. What I like a lot about Eastern religions is they skip a lot of the bullshit symbols and metaphoric stories and go straight to trying to translate the energy. That seems to make a lot more sense to me. Anyway, let's talk about atheism a little bit. In the words of George Carlin, I was a Christian until I reached the age of reason. In my opinion, atheism isn't the disbelief in the energy presence in the universe. It's the disbelief in following the mythological stories to explain it as some kind of fact. Because as a thinking atheist, you're able to see the stories as what they are. Just stories. Why die and kill over a story that's supposed to explain something that we don't even know? That's retarded. On top of that, I see atheism as a direct defiance to the structure set in place by religion. The structure that was meant to create a sheepish person, a person incapable of critical thinking, and to create passive obedience throughout society. Fuck that! We're not rebelling against the positive or negative energy forces in the world, but yes, we are rebelling against God. God once again being the main symbol in your brilliantly composed myth, who, once again in the paraphrased words of George Carlin, watches all that you do, hears everything that you say, and makes sure you follow his list of 10 rules, or else he'll send you to a pit of fire to burn and scream and die forever and ever. But he loves you, and he needs your money. The energy force in the universe, I would hope, is above the need of human currency. But who isn't? I'll tell you who. The ones who wrote the myth and the ones who fucking inject it into the youth when they're too young and fragile to be able to think critically. When they're unable to analyze information effectively. Hell, they're too young to even know what critical thinking is. Probably too young to know how to fucking read. I'm going to end this video in a quote of mine that you will probably take offensively. If you don't, good for you for looking past the myth. That's a good step toward rationality and sanity. But following the strict wording of your myth, which is conveniently written and handed down by the main figure in it, God, Jesus is everywhere at all times. He's everywhere. He's currently inside and outside of your asshole at the same time. So Jesus is fucking you in the ass in speeds that you couldn't humanly fathom. So I'll end this rationality in a question. Isn't it about time you wrote a myth about that too?